Welcome back to Power Lunch. The markets today continuing to look a little bit weakish. Europe not expected to open up either, so the pressure from global market side is continuing. You're 1.5% lower on the Sensex now. That's a 236-point cut. On the Nifty, you're at 4809. That's down 77 points, and a lot of people have said watch for that 4800 level. So you're just about 9 points ahead of it right now. But the focus domestically continues to be on the budget, even though we are seeing absolutely no pre-budget rally of any significance this time around. There are segments that could actually benefit. The rural segment could be one because the government has made its intention very clear to continue spending heavily on the social sector programs and try and improve productivity and incomes in rural India. Let's welcome in Rohtash Mal. He's with Escorts, Executive Director there and CEO of the Agri Machinery Group. Mr. Mal, thanks so much for joining us. Good to have you here, and good to have you back from Punjab. I believe you've been traveling extensively, so let me just first try and ask you what you picked up on the ground, what the demand situation is looking like in the rural sector, and whether the worries that came in because of a poor monsoon have more or less receded.
I think it's looking quite robust. As I told you a short while ago, I just returned from a 3-day trip to Punjab, and I kind of see green fields everywhere. Translated, that really means that tractor demand is robust, and the last quarter has been healthy in terms of growth, almost about a 39% growth versus the same time last year. However, it must be seen that last year was somewhat subdued. So in a sense, it's not real growth of 38, it's probably a real growth somewhere near 18 to 22%.
Right. Rohtash, Manisha joining in, just then would you say that sequentially, especially Q4 is a good quarter for you, so sequentially we can expect further rise in volumes and sales?
I think so. January, March typically is a little more, shall we say, a robust quarter than the October-December quarter. So I do see an upturn going forward.
Sir, the upturn in demand and volumes is now becoming quite evident, but the new worry that's emerging is on the raw material side. For you, steel, aluminium, rubber, 3 key costs are going up. How is that impacting margins?
I think this is something one needs to be particularly careful about. Yes, costs are going up, and steel and rubber primarily are more than affected. So one does look at a calibrated and a very, I can only use the word calibrated look at how these costs can be passed on. And I think after a very long time, one is seeing a good a pickup of demand. The last dry or drought period of June, August is behind us. And keeping that in mind, one would have to sort of watch this cost increase carefully. I would, however, aim to pass on some, if not all, of the cost increases to this segment.
Right, Rohtash, calibrated, understood, but how much do you think the quantum of price increase will be, and by when do you think you might have to bring that in? It will become inevitable?
I would be looking at some increases in prices in the next 60 to 90 days. And I think with that, we should be maintaining our contribution levels.
So what about some of the other corporate developments? You've been expanding your dealership base, particularly in the south, I believe. Just tell us how that initiative is shaping up.
We are overall, anticipating a market share gain this year. We're moving cautiously aggressively, if there is any such thing, in the marketplace, specifically in the southern part of the country. It does mean more dealers. It means more dealer renewal. It means making dealers far more capable of selling, which means a lot of education and training and so on. So a lot of initiatives along the lines of dealer skill development are underway to see that these market shares are obtained in the near future.
What about new products? How have those launches done?
Very well. Those launches that have happened, the 4455 as we call it, is making waves in the market. We're gathering good volumes with that product. Well, as far as the second part of your question is concerned as to what we have in mind, you would appreciate that would be competitively sensitive. I'd love to talk to you the moment they are launched.
All right, sir. So then I'll ask you the question that everybody is asking, every sector, and that's what you can expect from the budget. From a rural economy standpoint, the general sense is that the government will keep pumping in money into programs like the NREG, etc. So rural incomes will be rising. Positive for your business? Any other specifics you have in mind?
Lovely question, Ira. I'm delighted to answer that. And I think it's time we started looking at two vectors. One, you mentioned NREGA. That is a vector of poverty alleviation. Let us not confuse that with a vector of farm productivity. Farm productivity requires inputs like irrigation, seeds, fertilizer, and certainly farm mechanization, which, in my view, hasn't quite seen the encouragement it ought to have. So therefore, when we talk about stimuluses to the economy and so on and so forth, I do wish and I do look forward to these things in the next budget. Our discussions at the level of Krishi Bhavan do seem to indicate that the government is well seized of these problems. So let me just make a cleavage between poverty alleviation on one side, which the government is doing well, and I fully support that. But far more initiatives are required on the side of policy creation for encouraging farm productivity.
All right, talking about the farm sector, we'll get into a quick break, but on the other side, we'll keep the focus there and talk about the new fertilizer policy. The markets reacted